мы будем готовы уже в ближайшие месяцы, в ближайшие 3-4 месяца безвозмездно предоставить Буркина Фасо, Зимбабве, Мали, Сомали, Центральноафриканской Республики, Эритреи.
In the heart of West Africa, a country plagued by blackouts just made the boldest energy move on the continent, and it partnered with Russia to do it. Burkina Faso has stunned the world. In a historic shift, it's turning to nuclear energy, and not with help from the West, but with Russia at its side. This is more than just a power deal. It's a seismic geopolitical move that could reset West Africa's future. Moscow has now officially greenlit a nuclear partnership with two of its new African allies, Mali and Burkina Faso. But it's Burkina Faso's decision that's making global headlines. Quietly, and without much fanfare, it signed a deal that could transform its position in the region and beyond. So why would a country riddled with energy poverty gamble on nuclear power? And why do it now, with Russia? To understand that, you have to first understand the scale of Burkina Faso's energy crisis. For decades, the country has been stuck in a cycle: generate a little power, lose even more to rapid population growth, then beg for aid. Repeat. Despite being rich in sunlight, gold, and determination, it's still among the most electricity-starved countries on Earth. More than 60% of Burkinabe citizens live without electricity. Those who do endure daily blackouts. Lights flicker. Hospitals stall. Schools shut down when the sun sets. But this isn't just about keeping the lights on. It's about development, sovereignty, and survival. Without reliable electricity, no nation can rise. Factories halt. Clinics can't operate. Classrooms go dark. And Burkina Faso is painfully aware of that. This isn't just a search for energy, it's a fight for control. Control over its infrastructure, economy, and future. This move toward nuclear wasn't trendy or impulsive. It was strategic, and born of necessity. Solar seemed promising, but battery storage tech is expensive, and the grid is fragile. Hydropower is vulnerable to droughts. Fossil fuels? Too expensive to import, too unstable to trust. Every road Burkina Faso tried ran into a wall. And that wall led to an extraordinary decision: splitting atoms. Once considered a luxury reserved for superpowers, Russia, the US, France, China, nuclear energy is now within reach of countries once dismissed as too poor or too unstable. Thanks to modern modular designs, simplified systems, and international partnerships, the nuclear door has opened, and Ouagadougou has stepped through it. But let's be clear, nuclear is still high stakes. You don't just flip a switch and power up a city. You need fuel security, waste protocols, emergency planning, trained personnel, and public trust. This isn't just an energy project. It's a total national shift, from the classroom to the countryside. Teachers will now need to explain nuclear physics. Radio hosts must calm villagers' fears about radiation. Engineers must be trained from scratch. Burkina Faso isn't just buying reactors, it's re-engineering its future. And yes, nuclear is expensive. It's not quick, but it's reliable. Once operational, a reactor can run for decades, delivering 24/7 power without sunlight or rivers. It can keep hospitals humming, power plants purifying water, and factories running through the night. But above all, this move sends a message: Burkina Faso is done waiting for permission. It won't beg for aid. It will build, even if it means mastering atomic energy to do it. And let's not forget the prestige. In a region defined by instability, Burkina Faso just became the first in its neighborhood to embrace nuclear power. It's not playing catch-up anymore. It's positioning itself as a regional leader, a country no longer waiting to be saved, but carving out its own path. Yes, the risks are real. Safety, political volatility, infrastructure readiness, these are serious questions. But there's a bigger risk: doing nothing. Remaining trapped in energy poverty. Letting the future pass them by. Burkina Faso made its choice. It chose the hard road with high rewards. But why Russia? Why would one of the world's nuclear giants partner with a small, struggling African country? Because Russia sees the long game. This isn't just a business contract, it's a geopolitical alliance. Russia didn't just offer reactors. It offered fuel, waste disposal, legal frameworks, technical training, and public education support. That's not a deal, that's a commitment. And Moscow never plays unless there's more than just cash on the table. Russia's investment isn't just about Burkina Faso, it's about Africa. And more importantly, it's about the vacuum the West left behind. After years of Western dominance, France, the EU, the US, a wave of post-colonial realignment is sweeping West Africa. Burkina Faso is leading the charge. In just 3 years, it expelled French troops, exited the G5 Sahel, and deepened ties with Russia, all while calling for true independence from foreign powers. Russia recognized that shift early. It saw that Burkina Faso wasn't just asking for weapons, it wanted technology, dignity, and development. While Western nations tangled themselves in bureaucracy, conditions, and lectures, Russia offered a different deal: tools, not terms. This partnership wasn't born overnight. Across 2023 and 2024, Russia laid the groundwork, sending advisors, hosting delegates, conducting studies, and building the public narrative that nuclear wasn't just viable, it was essential. By the time the deal was signed in St. Petersburg in 2025, the partnership was already in motion. But Russia's motives aren't altruistic. This deal grants Moscow something more valuable than money: influence at the heart of a shifting continent. West Africa, once France's exclusive domain, is now the new battleground of soft power. And Russia is winning, not with troops, but with reactors, engineering, and uranium. Nuclear energy isn't like grain or trucks. It's deep. It's permanent. Once you're inside a country's nuclear system, you're part of its security, its academia, its future. Rosatom, Russia's state nuclear company, isn't just wiring a power plant. It's wiring itself into every corner of Burkina Faso's state apparatus. And Russia's message is clear: we are the partner the global South deserves. From Egypt to Zimbabwe, Moscow is positioning itself as the alternative to Western aid, a provider of nuclear autonomy without IMF strings or political hypocrisy. Burkina Faso is now the latest member of that growing club. And the ripple effects are spreading. Neighboring countries like Mali and Niger are watching closely, and they're already signaling interest in similar deals. Russia is becoming more than a partner, it's becoming a blueprint for independence. And it's doing it through nuclear diplomacy. With Africa's uranium resources, regional realignments, and calls for resource sovereignty growing louder, Russia is placing bets where the West hesitates. This isn't just about energy, it's about building a web of allies. Partners for trade, defense, and influence at the global level. So when Russia said yes to Burkina Faso, it wasn't charity. It was strategy. This nuclear deal isn't just a handshake. It's a 4-phase plan that could transform Burkina Faso from a blackout-ridden nation to a nuclear-powered hub. Phase 1: audits, legal reform, and safety protocols. Russian teams are already on the ground, reviewing zoning laws, emergency plans, and insurance codes. A new Nuclear Safety Act is underway. Phase 2: construction of a 50-megawatt research reactor, 40 kilometers outside Ouagadougou. It's not for the grid, it's for training, medical isotopes, and industrial research. Rosatom will supply fuel, manage waste, and train engineers on site. Phase 3: if the pilot unit runs safely for 24 months, a larger 440-megawatt commercial plant is greenlit. Russia will also build transmission lines to key cities, source components locally, and establish a nuclear engineering faculty at a national university. Phase 4: a joint company, Sanuki BF, takes over operation. Burkina Faso holds 51%. Russia 49%. Profits are locked in place for 25 years, ensuring Burkina Faso a steady revenue stream. By 2035, if uranium deposits near Marcoy prove viable, a local fuel facility may be added, letting Burkina Faso export fuel to neighbors under Russia's fuel bank model. School textbooks will include nuclear modules. Government exams will add radiation science. The Agriculture Ministry will use neutron labs to grow drought-resistant crops. This isn't just an energy project. It's a nationwide re-engineering effort. But it comes with enormous challenges. Security threats, budget constraints, and misinformation could derail even the best plan. Insurgents, saboteurs, and foreign interference all loom large. The biggest threat? Terror groups. Northern and eastern Burkina Faso are still conflict zones. And nuclear plants aren't just infrastructure, they're symbols of power. That makes them targets. Russian security advisors are already helping plan perimeter defenses, using drones, satellite monitoring, biometric gates, and sniper nests to secure the sites. But how do you protect ambition in a country still fighting for its own land? Then there's international sabotage, the quiet, diplomatic kind. France, once the kingpin of West African development, has been pushed aside. It didn't just lose the contract, it wasn't even considered. Now, it's pressuring international agencies behind the scenes. France is lobbying the IAEA and global insurers to raise safety concerns, delay funding, and cast doubt over the entire project. It's sabotage in slow motion, but make no mistake, the battle over Burkina Faso's energy future has already begun. And in this battle, it's not just about megawatts, it's about mastery. This is the story of a nation daring to split atoms for sovereignty, and a superpower using reactors instead of weapons to redraw alliances. The world should pay attention. It's not charity. It's not just a contract. It's a power move, and now even Washington is feeling the pressure. As France fumbles, the United States is growing increasingly uneasy. Publicly, Washington remains quiet. But behind closed doors, American policymakers are concerned. Historically, the US never had deep roots in Burkina Faso. But it did have influence, through development aid, counterinsurgency programs, and soft power channels. Now, even that's slipping away. And here's the truth. Washington isn't wrong to worry. Burkina Faso's nuclear deal with Russia is part of a larger global strategy. Russia doesn't just offer energy, it trades influence for infrastructure, gaining long-term access without a single boot on the ground. It's no surprise that US think tanks have begun releasing editorials, framed as concern but filled with alarm. Is Burkina Faso ready for nuclear power? Could regional instability unravel West Africa's atomic ambitions? These aren't neutral questions. They're rhetorical weapons, designed to stir doubt, spark fear, and stall momentum. And it's not just Western capitals watching nervously. African power players are unsettled too. Nigeria, long considered Africa's energy heavyweight, is quietly watching. Despite decades of oil wealth and ambition, Nigeria has yet to launch a functioning nuclear project. If Burkina Faso, a landlocked and conflict-hit country, manages to leap ahead with Russian backing, it won't just raise eyebrows. It could embarrass Nigeria's elite and redraw Africa's energy map. Even within Burkina Faso itself, quiet resistance brews, not out of ideology, but out of fear of disruption. The fossil fuel import lobby, deeply tied to government procurement pipelines, sees what's coming. As diesel contracts vanish, so will their profits. Some politicians are already weaponizing this moment, accusing the government of trading sovereignty for radioactive dependence, warning of atomic colonialism. But despite the mounting pressure, foreign, domestic, economic, and political, the project moves forward. Why? Because for Burkina Faso's leadership, nuclear power isn't just about energy. It's about protection. A shield against rolling blackouts. A shield against foreign dependency. A shield against irrelevance. Still, ambition alone won't be enough to safeguard this nuclear vision. For this dream to become reality, Burkina Faso must earn the trust of its people. The narrative must be reshaped, and threats, internal and external, must be defused. The real question isn't whether a plant can be built. It's whether the people will claim ownership of this national transformation. Because the challenges are real. The enemies are powerful. And every move is being watched, by allies and saboteurs alike. This project cannot feel foreign. It must become Burkinabe at its core. And that starts with the hardest part of any major innovation, winning hearts and minds. Most citizens don't know what a neutron is. They've never seen enriched uranium. For many, nuclear means Hiroshima, Chernobyl, or unseen disaster. In remote villages where kerosene and candles still provide light, atomic energy can feel more like a foreign scheme than a national solution. This is not just a messaging challenge. It's a test of legitimacy. That's why a sweeping public education campaign has quietly begun. In the capital, billboards show local nurses using nuclear-powered diagnostic machines. Radio stations now run weekly science segments in native languages, explaining, in plain terms, how radiation can improve harvests and cure disease. A traveling atomic caravan now tours schools, mosques, and markets, inviting blunt questions from everyday people. Will it explode? Will it poison our water? Will we still own our land? And most importantly, these answers aren't coming from foreign experts. They're coming from Burkinabe scientists trained to lead this transition. It's not accidental. It's strategy. The government understands that if the narrative isn't shaped from within, it will be hijacked from abroad. That's why this project is being packaged as a national milestone, not a Russian giveaway. At the center of this movement is human capital. It's one thing to build a reactor. It's another to operate, regulate, and explain it, in your own language with your own people. Already, over 200 Burkinabe students have been sent to Russian universities in Tomsk and St. Petersburg, studying nuclear engineering, radiation medicine, law, and ethics. Within a decade, Burkina Faso plans for every major role in its nuclear ecosystem to be held by a Burkinabe national. But even this isn't enough. For the nuclear sector to thrive, it must become interwoven with the rest of the economy. That's why new programs are connecting atomic energy to agriculture, using gamma irradiation to boost seed durability and reduce food waste. In healthcare, hospitals are being equipped with nuclear imaging tools, powered by locally produced isotopes. In mining, new radiation-based assays will help authenticate and elevate Burkina Faso's gold and mineral exports. These aren't side projects. They're proof to the public and the world that nuclear power isn't some shiny toy for elites. It's a force multiplier, touching every sector, every region, and every income level. Still, awareness and infrastructure aren't enough to secure a future. What guarantees sustainability is institutional strength. That's why the government, in collaboration with the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, AFCON, is creating a national nuclear authority, an independent watchdog tasked with oversight, continuity, and regulation. It will be staffed by scientists, legal experts, and auditors, ensuring the system outlives any one administration or military government. Its role is not just functional. It's symbolic. It proves that Burkina Faso isn't just renting power, it's mastering it. And that is the final test. If Burkina Faso pulls this off, it won't just light up its cities. It will illuminate a path for every country told they were too poor, too unstable, or too backwards for advanced technology. It will show Mali, Guinea, Togo, the entire Sahel, that nuclear power is no longer reserved for the wealthy. It's a tool for the bold, the ambitious, the unafraid. It will show that a small, landlocked, resource-scarce nation, written off for decades, can split atoms not for war, but for hope. Not for conquest, but for self-determination. And that might be the most powerful energy source of all. So what do you think? Is nuclear energy Africa's ticket to energy freedom? Would you support a plant like this in your own country? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories that dig deeper into Black excellence, hidden history, and powerful civilizations the world often ignores, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and be part of the conversation. Thank you for watching. More truth, more knowledge, coming soon.